Hello, everyone. My name is Faruk Taban, the president of Turkic-American Alliance. So welcome to our another event on Congressional Talk Series. So we have a distinguished speaker here in this room, Congressman Hank Johnson. So I had the privilege to visit Turkey with him and with his wife last year. And just one anecdote before introducing him over here. We were at the Turkish Parliament, and the group of the students, they were visiting the Congress. So he was the himself, and his wife was the center of the attention. So everybody come and just talk and cheer, and so everybody knows he's handsome and beautiful wife. But I realized the people were talking, are there Michelle and Barack Obama here? So they were pointing out the congressman. So it was really enthusiastic of the children just to welcome to greet. There was a kind of a tradition in our culture anyway. So Congressman Hank Johnson, he's just not much time before the voting, another set of votings. As you know, the Tuesday through Thursday, the prime days here in D.C. Congressman Hank Johnson is the third term U.S. representative for Georgia's 4th district, and during the 111th Congress, he was a member of the House Committee on the Judiciary and chaired the subcommittee on courts and competition. And just after the only one term in the office, he was elected by his colleagues to serve in the House leadership as Southeast Regional Whip in 2009. And he has championed consumer protection, education, civil liberties, and support for public safety. He was an outspoken critic of the Iraqi war and abuses within the Bush Justice Department, opposes the Wall Street bailout, and he has delivered hundreds of millions of dollars of federal investment to the 4th district for the job creation, infrastructure, public safety, and business development. And prior to his election to Congress, Representative Johnson served 12 years as a DeKalb County Magistrate Judge, 5 years as a County Commissioner, and 3 years as a Chair of DeKalb County Budget Committee. And Representative Johnson practiced civil and criminal law in DeKalb County for 27 years. A staunch supporter for public education. He's a real Washingtonian. He's a graduate of the District of Columbia Public Schools, Clark College in Atlanta, and Thurgood Marshall School of Law in Texas Southern University. Representative is married to attorney Merida Davis Johnson and has 2 children. So please welcome to join the Congressman Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon, actually. Thank you, Faruk, for that very kind introduction, and thank you all for inviting me here to speak today. There's a lot that we can do to strengthen the relationship between the United States and Turkey, and I think that these kinds of events promote the closeness of our relationship. I've had the tremendous opportunity to visit Turkey last year, and this was a delegation that was led by TAA, and it was indeed an eye-opening experience. I learned so much about Turkey on that trip, and I came away with the conclusion that a deeper friendship with Turkey will help the United States pursue its interests and support its values around the world. I remember vividly we visited the House of the Virgin Mary on the Christian holy day of Good Friday. On that day, my wife and I visited the House of the Virgin Mary, a site venerated by Christians and Muslims alike on Turkey's western coast, a beautiful area and a historic area. It's believed that Mary once lived there, and people of many faiths were assembled to reflect. Despite the somber mood on a holy day commemorating the death of Christ, it was a hopeful scene showcasing freedom and diversity in Turkey. Turkey's unique history has laid the foundations for the development of a strong and pluralistic society. Building on that tradition of diversity and freedom, Turkey is playing a very unique role in today's geopolitical order as a bridge between nations and that sometimes have difficulty speaking directly to one another. In this century, I believe that Turkey also has the potential to serve as the heart of its region, setting an example of secular democracy in a majority Muslim society. The economic miracle that has taken place in Turkey over the past decade is well known to all of us, and Turkey is the world's 16th largest economy and one of the fastest growing economies of the world. Some reports indicate that Turkey had the world's fastest growing economy during parts of 2011. Turkey's influence in regional and global affairs has been dramatically enhanced by its economic strength and the effective execution of a forward-thinking foreign policy. Prime Minister Erdogan and Foreign Minister Davutoglu have proven themselves to be skilled statesmen. Turkish participation in multilateral security missions such as the Afghanistan effort, anti-piracy operations off Somalia, and the Libyan war demonstrates a more assertive approach to international affairs. This development should be embraced and shaped by the United States. And I think that President Obama and Secretary Clinton are on the same page and are welcoming Turkey's new role in the world. Turkey demonstrated its capacity to bridge the gap between the North American and European bloc and the Muslim world in the tumultuous weeks before the NATO-led Libya invasion. I had first-hand experience working with Turkey's outstanding diplomats during the Libyan conflict. As the Libyan civil war began, months before the coalition got involved in supporting the revolution, several American journalists had been detained and imprisoned by Gaddafi's forces. Now, at that time, Turkey was America's, quote, protecting power in Tripoli, meaning Turkey was effectively our diplomatic representative in Libya since we had closed our embassy. If any nation had the clout and the flexibility at that time to pressure Gaddafi to release the journalists, it was Turkey. Turkey was in a place to do what Turkey does exceptionally well, and that is to serve as a bridge. I was flying to Ankara on the TAA trip that week. So the journalist publishers got wind that I would be going there, and so they reached out to me asking for assistance, whatever I could do. And I assured them that it was not much, but I would do my best. And I recruited several colleagues in Congress to co-sign a letter that we addressed to Ahmet Davutoglu requesting Turkey's assistance. We wanted some help with pushing Gaddafi to release the hostages. The Turkish authorities were already on the case, but they redoubled their efforts. And sure enough, the journalists were free within 2 weeks. I think this story shows what I mean when I say that Turkey can be both a global bridge and the heart of the region. Turkey was the only country in the world that could have bridged the gap between the United States and Gaddafi at that time. And Turkey's leaders had the moral integrity to understand that securing freedom for those journalists was a goal worthy of spending precious political capital. And I think they won that hand. I think Turkey can and should continue to play this same role in two of the most difficult diplomatic challenges of our time: the crisis in Syria and the looming crisis over Iran's nuclear program. Turkey's no enemies, Turkey's, quote, no enemies, end quote, foreign policy serves as a constructive basis for Turkey to champion creative diplomatic initiatives. You can't please everyone all the time, but Turkey's efforts to play the role of the honest broker can help us achieve crucial diplomatic breakthroughs. It is my hope that Turkey will continue to embrace its secular democratic heritage and embrace a role as the heart of the region by demonstrating that Islam and democracy can and should coexist. Although the Arab Spring represents hope and greater democratic consciousness in societies that have long been oppressed, some here in the United States fear that popular rule in the Muslim world will not serve American interests. Turkey stands as evidence that Islam and democracy can be reconciled without undermining constructive relations with the United States and its allies. For Turkey to realize its full potential as a moral authority and a political model for the region, Turkey must strengthen democratic institutions that are under threat. An independent judiciary and a free press are essential to democracy. And a free press means a press free not just from imprisonment and prosecution without due process, but also from indirect forms of coercion like intimidation, blackmail, and bribery. I believe the transition from military to civilian supremacy in Turkey is a welcome development. But if Turkey is to serve as a credible regional and global leader, I think it's critical that the civilian leadership demonstrate that they embrace democratic principles, including the neutrality of the state with regards to matters of faith, freedom of all religions. Finally, I'd like to touch upon the deep and historic alliance between Turkey and the United States, an alliance that must be strengthened and deepened. On his first trip overseas as President of the United States, President Obama addressed the Turkish parliament and reaffirmed the historic bonds between our cultures and our countries. As fellow democracies, as long-standing NATO partners, as powerful economies with an interest in international stability and security, the United States and Turkey are natural friends. The United States and Turkey may not agree on every issue every time, but I'm confident that we will have the common ground and common interest, the history of friendship, and the open lines of communication that will support an enduring friendship. In supporting and deepening ties with Turkey while restating our commitments to these principles, we not only advance our own economic and political interest, we demonstrate important commitments to democracy, religious freedom, and prosperity in the Middle East. Thank you, and I look forward to discussion.
I was told there's not much time for the question, but can we take at least one question? Thank you very much for the Congressman. I was in Georgia, Atlanta, for the State House reception. So I was told that probably you told by the Istanbul Center, we tripled the trade volume between Turkey and state of Georgia in the course of last 5 years. So this is our basically effort in the local level over there. So any question? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much. I enjoyed your speech.
Thank you.
I am representing Azerbaijan, Republic of Azerbaijan, and my name is Irada. And I want to ask you, you said so much about Turkey. What was thinking about the relationship? As you know, Turkey and Azerbaijan very tight relationship. And your vision about the relationship between Azerbaijan and the United States.
Well, I think that is it's a positive relationship that our nations have between each other, and there is a larger geopolitical, I don't want to call it turmoil, but realignment, if you will, and so there are many complex issues, all of which I can't claim knowledge of. But I will say that your relationship with Turkey it will be in good stead, will hold your country in good stead into the future. I do believe that the similarities between our countries and what we aspire for our people are the same. We're just of course, the United States is already a developed and democratic country, and both Turkey and Azerbaijan are on the road to that same ideal. And to the extent that America can promote through soft power Azerbaijan's trek towards that ideal, I think that we will utilize our soft power, which is a great sleeping giant, in my opinion, for America. When I say sleeping, I'll say just coming out of slumber and beginning to emerge as the power that it should be. I think that soft power will be utilized in such a way to enhance the government of Azerbaijan and its people.
Thank you so much.
We have time for one more.
Okay. I see a question over there. Yes, please.
I'm sorry.
I was just wondering, there is so much said about Turkish secularism's success in being very economically successful, and I think there's some bias in the United States. So recently, New Yorker published a blog about a couple of events religious or Pennsylvania.
Okay, now I just missed that part. Recently published what?
About Turkey, and they specifically criticized very prominent religious scholars and saying that has a very strong influence on Erdogan. And this article was extremely biased and one-sided. What do you think would improve the holistic judgment and multilateral view on Turkey and the role of religion in that state? What do you think can be done to demolish the bias in the media?
Well, yeah, since we have freedom of the press and freedom of speech, we're going to have different views, and whether or not those views are honestly held or whether or not they are just simply trying to promote a particular agenda. It doesn't matter. It's up to the American people to sort out and sort through all of the information that is available. And it's incumbent upon the American people to become knowledgeable about all areas of the world, not just America. And so, and in doing so, then we can all be better able to process the information that comes at us. And now I myself happen to know a little more than I guess the average American about Turkey and its influence around the world and what it has accomplished, and so I disagree with the article that was written, and I don't see the relationship between Turkey and Iran as a threat. I see it as more of an opportunity, and so that has to do with Turkey's no enemies policy, which, you know, if we can't talk directly, and I'm not saying we should not talk directly to the Iranians, but if we can't talk to them due to political concerns or due to other problems, at least we have a friend of ours that is a friend of theirs. And in this way, Turkey can demonstrate its bridge, and it also is serving as a heart. The heart being kind of pumping out in different directions what is good for people with the health and safety and prosperity of the people. That's what Turkey is in a position to pump out just by being Turkey. So I would take issue with anyone who fears that relationship. In fact, I think that the U.S. should have a stronger direct relationship with the Iranian authorities.
Okay, I think very, very short question, so it's going to be last.
Well, okay. Well, you can have a short answer. Mr. Congressman.
That's very difficult for me.
Well, recently a congressional panel just put Turkey and the large congressional panel on religious freedom put Turkey on a list of countries of particular concern about religious freedoms. Though you have had your own experiences in Turkey. That decision by the congressional panel was made by a difference of just one vote. I'd like to get your own impressions how the Turkish government treats its religious minorities, other things.
Well, it was my observation that there were an abundance of mosques, and there were an abundance, smaller, of course, smaller number, but there were a number of Christian churches. We even, I think we passed a Jewish synagogue, and I thought that was a good good thing for me to see. I've also heard of problems with the Coptic Church, and perhaps not the degree of freedom that they desire and that they deserve. If in fact it's a free religion, freedom to practice, then if that is what they are doing, then they should have the same freedom as everyone else. And perhaps that's what motivated the congressional manifestation of concern.
Okay.
I'll take one more.
Yeah, raised at the same time, so just to honor
Okay.
him.
As a congressman, I'm sure you're dealing with other communities in your district, like ethnic communities like Turkish Americans, Greek communities, whatever. So, how do Turkish Americans compare to other ethnic or religious communities in terms of representing themselves, engaging in the local affairs, in terms of organization? What is your impression about the general self-representation of the Turkish American community?
Well, it's been my experience that the Turkish organizations are very aggressive in their outreach, and they don't lay back and wait for someone to come and say, "I want to be your friend." They go out and make friends, and I think other communities do that. The Jewish community, the Greek community, many communities do that same thing. But I think that the Turkish outreach is very sophisticated and very multi-pronged, and I think it's effective. I encourage. I see nothing but good from it. I don't see anything bad. I think we, as Americans, should do the same thing out in the world. Though it used to be that it's all about America, and whatever America says goes. But we're in new times now, and what other countries bring to the table is important to all of us. The whole world is interrelated in so many different ways, and if there's an injustice somewhere, it affects justice everywhere, to paraphrase what Martin Luther King Jr. Said. And so we all should be working and listening to our world partners, and we should all be world citizens, as President Obama proclaimed himself to be in one of his speeches before he became president. I believe it was Egypt, or it may have been Great Britain. I'm not sure which speech, but world citizenry, I think, is very important. And for us to be that way, we have to find out about other peoples, other cultures, other challenges that other countries face. And we need to keep at the top of our mind always the fact that all people deserve to live in peace.
All right. Thank you very much. So please thank you for your help. So we have a little gift, so that climate ethics rule.
Okay. All right.
This way, I think so. And for you mentioned effectiveness, I think we should credit baklava and Turkish coffee also for the effectiveness of
no doubt.
All right.
Food does not hurt anything. Thank you all, and thank you for this gift.
All right.
Okay.